First thing is call 911 if anyone is injured to the point that you don't want to remove them from a vehicle. An ambulance will come and take you to the hospital for primary care. The second thing you want to do is to make absolutely no statements to an insurance company. They'll put their best agents on the most severe crashes to attempt to get you to give a recorded statement asking you all kinds of questions that a defense lawyer and an insurance company has advised them to ask. Later, as your treatment continues and your injuries become more obvious and problematic, they're going to use that recorded statement in a court of law to try to show or try to infer that you're lying about any injuries that you didn't mention in the first statement. So you do not want to give a statement to an insurance company. The next thing is that you want to get photographs of all the vehicles involved. Oftentimes the photographs of severe crashes are not taken by an insurance company or retained by an insurance company, and the vehicles disappear very quickly and they're sent off to the salvage yard. After that, you need to contact a personal injury attorney who handles personal injury cases. It's an area of law that has very specific things regarding the medical treatment and the way in which to handle the case to maximize the recovery that you could get in a court of law in the event that it has to go that far. That attorney can also typically provide you with a list of medical doctors for aftercare treatment who specialize in injuries related to car accidents. They'll know what they're looking for. They'll know how to document the medical records in order to provide to the insurance company to get you the most amount of money that you are entitled to get in that case. My name is Dennis Hernandez. I'm a personal injury attorney with offices in Tampa and Sarasota. If you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident and you have injuries, call me. After having left the hospital to make sure you don't have any life-threatening injuries at that particular time, you're going to go and see a person, a doctor, a medical doctor who's trained on looking for and caring for injuries related to motor vehicle traumas. Start from your head and go to your toes, walking through each piece that you have symptoms, pain, or complaints about with your doctor. You need to make sure that all of these things are well documented by that physician so that it can be used in your personal injury claim against the insurance company. Starting with your head injuries are very common in car collisions and other motor vehicle crashes. You can receive a head injury, a concussion, or what is also referred to as a mild traumatic brain injury, even without contacting your head. The acceleration-deceleration forces are sufficient and have been documented by biomechanical engineers and neurologists to cause concussions and mild traumatic brain injuries. The typical symptoms that one would experience from this type of an injury would be loss of short-term memory, having to make lists, forgetting where you're supposed to go, forgetting your keys, your groceries, simple things like that, which you may just discount as you being confused, are actually signs that you have suffered a concussion or a mild traumatic brain injury. Other things that are common are anxiety, dizziness, balance problems, nauseousness, ringing in the ears. If you have any of these symptoms, be sure to write it on your initial intake form when you go to see your primary care physician that is going to be caring for your injuries that you sustained in the motor vehicle collision. The next area is the neck and the jaw. These are two totally separate potential injuries. The jaw is a joint on each side, just like you have in your shoulder, your elbow, or your knee. These joints, through an acceleration-deceleration injury, can tear the ligaments and damage the cartilage on either side or both sides of your mouth. In the event that you've sustained this type of injury, those are only cured typically through surgery. If you have popping and clicking when you're opening and closing your mouth, you have a lot of soreness, or you're getting severe headaches, those headaches can be caused from either the head injury, a jaw injury, or a neck injury. Be sure to make note of every single symptom that you're having on your initial intake form. Neck injuries are the most common in car collisions because your neck is making the most amount of movement in a collision. Your head, being a 10-pound ball on top of your spine, is getting thrown in the direction of the collision. It's a front-end collision, it's being thrown forward. A rear-end collision, it's being thrown backward. A side impact, your head's being thrown to the side. And then it is snapping back in the other direction. So through that mechanism of injury, you can sustain herniated discs. These are the soft disc spaces between each of your vertebrae and your neck. Those herniated discs can press on nerves or your spinal cord, often referred to as a pinched nerve or nerve impingement, and that's what will radiate pain. You'll typically see pain not only localized in the neck, but oftentimes people have shooting pain down either their left or their right arm or both arms. It can come and go in its severity. It can increase and decrease during the course of the day, depending on what you do in your activities. But that condition oftentimes is only remedied in the future by surgery. You can also have ligament damage. Oftentimes those ligaments that are torn or destroyed, which do not grow back, are not shown up completely on an MRI. However, MRIs are very important to have because they do document objectively the anatomical changes that have occurred in various parts of your body, including your neck, which can then be used with the insurance company to demonstrate a particular injury. The next thing you want to do is check your shoulders, range of motion. Do you have restricted range of motion when you move your arms? Is there pain? Can you lift your arms up above your head the same way that you were able to before the crash? If not, those are areas that you need to document and tell your physician about so that he can check them out and make sure you're okay, or prescribe a treatment plan to try to get you back to the condition that you were before the car collision. Then you would go to your mid-back. Do you have pain in your mid-back? And then your low back. The low back pain can often be localized in the low back, or it can be a shooting pain down your left or your right leg, or both. You can have numbness and tingling in your feet, and those are the nerves that are being impinged in your low back that are sending a message to your brain that it's shooting pain down one or both of your legs. Then you would move down to your knees. Did your knees hit anything inside the car? It could be the dashboard, it could be the door or a console in the middle of your car. Did your knees hit anything? Are they sore when you squat down? Do you have full range of motion without pain? Is there popping and clicking, grinding, anything of that nature when you're walking or squatting down? If there is, you need to bring that to the attention of your medical doctor. All of these injuries need to be documented from head to toe in your very first visit. If they're not documented in the very first visit, then when you start to realize that these pains and aches are not going to go away in the future, which could be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months later, if that's the first time that you've told the physician, it will be the first time he's documented it in his file. And the insurance company will use that as an opportunity to try and say that you didn't report it immediately and initially when you saw your physician, and therefore that injury is not related to the crash, and they don't want to pay any money for it. My name is Dennis Hernandez. I'm a personal injury attorney with offices in Tampa and Sarasota. If you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident and you have injuries, call me. After an impact, especially a severe one, the cars are taken away quickly to a tow yard. From that point, if they're totaled, they're taken to a salvage yard. The insurance company usually does not keep photographs of those vehicles that are involved in severe impacts for a very specific reason. They don't want you to have pictures of those cars to show to a jury if this case were ever to go to trial. They don't want you to have the evidence and the proof of how bad the collision was, because it only works to their disadvantage in not wanting to pay you the full amount of money that you deserve. You need to take photographs of the vehicle after an impact. If you're incapacitated, a family member or a friend can take those pictures. They can even find out from the driver's information exchange, which is the document that's given to you at the time of the crash, where the vehicles were taken. Your family members can go to those tow yards and take pictures of the vehicles before they're taken away. Those pictures can be critical in the future to prosecute your case for the injuries you sustained. My name is Dennis Hernandez. I'm a personal injury attorney with offices in Tampa and Sarasota. If you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident and you have injuries, call me. These are medical records that exist anywhere in the world related to you that were created before the time of the motor vehicle collision that you've been involved in. A list of all of these providers needs to be given to your personal injury attorney. Your personal injury attorney needs to have all of this information available to him or her so that they're aware of every time that you've ever been treated for an injury, an accident, anything at all. Oftentimes, even though you are not involved in an injury, you may make a statement that you have pain in your neck or your shoulder or your knee for an isolated period of time. And your attorney needs to be aware of that, every record that exists, before the insurance company takes your deposition. Because what the insurance company will do is they'll get all of those records. And if there's an indication that you ever complained of pain in your neck, your back, your shoulder, anything that's been injured as a result of this motor vehicle collision, if there's ever an indication that you've complained of pain in any of those areas before the date of this motor vehicle collision, they're going to try to draw a conclusion that you were not hurt from this motor vehicle collision, but this is an ache or a pain that you've had all your life. The other thing they're going to do is they're going to ask you if you've ever reported to a provider, a healthcare provider, or to anyone that you had an ache or a pain in that particular area. And candidly, there might be a time 10 years before the motor vehicle collision when someone said, yeah, I've got some pain in my back. And maybe it went away after a week or two, and they forgot that they told that medical provider. Now that statement is in a record. When they ask you in your deposition if you've ever had neck and back pain, if you're not aware of that record, to refresh your memory that yes, I had some pain there, to be able to tell them what's in the record that yes, I have reported I've had some neck and back pain, and maybe it was mild, I had it for a few days, I said it one time, I don't even know what it was about, and it resolved itself. That is a good explanation if that's what happened. If you say you never had neck or back pain, they won't bring it up to you in your deposition, but they will bring it up at trial. And they're going to make it look like you lied in your deposition. My name is Dennis Hernandez. I'm a personal injury attorney with offices in Tampa and Sarasota. If you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident and you have injuries, call me. I want to give you an overview of the process that's involved in pursuing a personal injury claim. First of all, you're involved in the crash. It totally disrupts your life. You probably miss some days from work. You go to the hospital. When you are released from the hospital, you then go to a primary care treater, a doctor who specializes in injuries that people sustain from motor vehicle traumas. Now you're continuing to treat, you're going to the doctor, and they're providing you with various modalities, physical therapy, massage, maybe some pain medication to get you over the initial hump of the pain. And as you go along, your attorney is going to find out whether the other side has any insurance. If they have any insurance, how much? If they were given a traffic citation, are they going to accept responsibility? Is their insurance company going to accept responsibility, or are they going to challenge the ticket? Ultimately, after the insurance company has accepted responsibility, they are then going to want to evaluate your case. In evaluating your case, what is done by a personal injury attorney is the preparation of a demand. A demand is simply a letter from the attorney representing you to the insurance company, attaching all of the relevant medical records and explaining to them in simple terms what your injuries, your diagnosed injuries are as a result of the crash. The insurance companies will then assess that information, and typically they will attempt to offer a small amount of money related to your claim. That's when your attorney will have to continue to work with them and negotiate. If a resolution cannot be resolved that's satisfactory to you, the next stage in the process is to file a lawsuit. If a lawsuit has to be filed in your case because the amount being offered by the insurance company is not fair, the lawsuit is filed and served on the party that was at fault. You will then go through a process between the filing of the lawsuit and the trial of the case, which will go in the following order. A lawsuit's filed and served on the party that's at fault. That party will then give the lawsuit to their insurance company, who will appoint an attorney for them to defend. The insurance company is really defending their own pot of money, the insurance policy that they sold to the person who is now at fault. And so it will be an attorney that is friendly with that insurance company. His job is to try and build a defense against your case to minimize the value of that case if the case were ever to go to trial. The stronger your case is as you walk through the process, as your attorney represents you through the process, the higher the chance is that the insurance company will eventually pay a fair value for your case. The next thing that's going to occur is that attorney for the defense is going to file an answer where they'll typically admit certain things and deny certain things. Sometimes they don't even admit that they're at fault, even if their client got a ticket, because the ticket does not come into evidence in a personal injury trial. The jury is left to decide who is liable, who was at fault. If they're not found to be at fault, they don't have to pay any money. Another defense that's often used is to try to prosecute you. They will get every medical record that exists in the world related to you. They will have nurses and lawyers and paralegals go through all of those documents. They will try to find every instance where you ever mentioned that you had any pain at all in any of the areas that you are now experiencing pain in related to the motor vehicle collision. They will hire doctors, they will hire radiologists, orthopedic surgeons, psychiatrists, psychologists, depending on what your claim is. They will hire every doctor and expert that they can to defend and contest everything that you're saying. They will hire experts to come in and look at you, to do independent medical examinations. Those defense doctors will review every record that they can get their hands on, every medical record, every MRI film, everything. And more often than not, I have found that the doctors that are hired by the insurance company and often pay $2,500 to start, and if it goes through trial, as much as $25,000 to testify, will usually determine that none of your injuries either exist, that you don't have any of those injuries, or they'll say whatever injury you do have is because it's a degenerative condition or it's a pre-existing condition, and it has nothing to do with a motor vehicle collision. My name is Dennis Hernandez. I'm a personal injury attorney with offices in Tampa and Sarasota. If you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident and you have injuries, call me.